Hello, my name is Katricia Rose. You may have seen my pixie cut pictures floating all around the internet when you look up pixie cut, curly pixie cut, natural pixie cut, things of that nature. I've been wearing my hair in a pixie off and on for the greater part of the last 10 years. I've done so many different styles of cuts, so many different colors, so many different variations of the pixie, and I have so much fun with it and I love it, and I always end up going back to it, which is what I've done recently. So you might know me from another platform, or you may have seen me around, or you might be totally new here. Either way, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. It's going to be incredibly information rich. This is part one of a two-parter. In this video, I'm going to go over general questions and concerns and just kind of like a pixie cut testimony along with that. If you're thinking about going short, I think that this video is going to be really beneficial for you and maybe comforting, and maybe just the honest truth that you need to hear in order to make a decision whether to do it or not. In the second part, I'm going to show me giving myself my own pixie cut. I cut and colored this pixie cut myself. So just keep on watching if you want the full scoop on this change that you're contemplating or stepping into. Super excited for you. Let's go ahead and get into it. So over the last while, I've gotten a lot of inbox questions and concerns and general conversation about my hair. People come to me all the time with lots of different questions around getting a pixie cut, doing their big chop, and I typically find that they fall into one of two categories. I think whatever category that they or you fall into gives a lot of context to the type of advice or experience you might have with making this big change and going short. So listen closely to these two categories and think about which one that you fall into or why you're here. So category number one, these are my big chop people. In fact, the keywords big chop might have brought you to this video. I find that this typically means that you're cutting your hair with the intention of growing it back, often as soon as possible, and you're using the pixie cut as an opportunity to hit restart on your hair. Oftentimes you're like cutting off some damage, starting over for some reason or another, but the pixie cut is intended to be a very temporary look for you, and you're really motivated to have a good experience with it so you can do it and get past it and get back to having some length with your hair. My category one big choppers typically have a lot of apprehensions and a lot of worries about how it's going to look, how they're going to wear it, how long it's going to take to grow out, and kind of questions and concerns of that nature, but they're generally a bit more resistant to seeing themselves with the pixie cut. And then we have our category two people, and these are more like my people. Nothing against my category one people, but my category two people are going for a pixie because they are just really excited to go for a pixie. They've been visualizing this on themselves. This is a style that they want to wear their hair in. They don't have foreseeable plans to grow their hair back out. This is just their next move. This change is going to be kind of like a stylistic preference going forward and like a lifestyle change, and they're generally more excited about it. I think everybody has fears about seeing themselves with the short hair if they never have before, but my category two people are just excited about having a pixie cut and wearing one going forward. I want to give a quick disclaimer. I have the full intention of being extremely transparent in this video, which means that I am not trying to convince you necessarily one way or another. I'm obviously biased. I love my pixie cut, but I am going to tell you like honest cons and, you know, like both sides for these questions and concerns. So it might not always be what you want to hear, but I believe it's going to be what's the most helpful for you to make your own decision for yourself. So to go back to our categories people, I need to speak to my category one people for a moment. Big choppers. I know that cutting your hair may feel very, very scary. As I mentioned, this group is typically the most concerned with how it's going to look, the timeline of growing it out, how they're going to be able to wear it in the in-between stages and the grow out stages, and kind of concerns of that nature. I want to give you the real. If you fall into this category and you like seeing yourself with long hair, you can't wait to get back to it, you just want to get past having a pixie cut, you might be scared because you have some sort of an attachment to your hair, which is totally normal. This is going to be a little bit harder for you. It's gonna be a little bit harder for you. You might grieve your hair. Generally speaking, you might have more of a difficult time accepting your new look. I just wanna say that I feel for you. I know that a big chop is typically a last resort due to damage for one reason or another. I do want to remind you that you can cut off damage gradually. You don't always have to make the jump to having a very short pixie cut, but I'm going to assume that you've exhausted the option and that's why you're here. And then there's also people who are going short for like health reasons or for hair loss reasons, and I also empathize with you. And if you're not necessarily in the short life club by choice, we're gonna find a way for you to love your hair. Either way, if you're feeling resistant to getting a pixie cut but you find yourself in a position to need one, I hope that you end up loving it, and I hope that I can help you somewhat with that in some way. I also want to say it's okay if you don't end up loving it on yourself. It is not for everybody and it doesn't have to be. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself, and remember that you might end up really liking it, so keep an open mind. For my category 2 people who are really excited about this, more so than like a grievance, cutting your hair is more than likely going to feel like some sort of a liberation or a weight lifted off your shoulders, especially if you're someone like me who had been wanting to cut their hair off for a very long time before they actually took the plunge. It's probably gonna feel so good, although you are gonna have to get used to a whole new way of wearing your hair and seeing yourself with short hair, and it's going to be an adjustment regardless. You're more likely to have more of a overall like pleasant experience and accept your new look more quickly. For my category 2 people, I'm really excited for you, and I hope that it's everything that you want it to be. Let's get into some questions and concerns that I've heard. I'm probably not going to cover every single thing, but I'm really hoping that this video covers a lot of stuff that may have passed through your mind at this point. The biggest concern that I get, probably the most common hesitation or the most common reason people think that they can't ultimately do a pixie cut, is some sort of concern around their head shape or their face shape. Like head shape, head size, face shape, face size, facial features, something about them aesthetically they think that won't be suitable for a pixie cut, and I have a lot of thoughts on this. I really say this with a grain of salt, but I do think it's possible to have like a cute head shape or a nice head shape for a pixie, where a pixie cut is like particularly flattering on you. I've seen it before. I've seen head shapes that I'm envious of, where I'm like, you just have the cutest, most perfect little head. I say with even more of a heavier emphasis that I don't believe that there is any single head shape or face shape that is just unsuitable for a pixie, that you just absolutely cannot get one. I personally think that that's BS. I think that that's just like insecurity getting in the way of self-authenticity. To me, it's just like goes with the I can't wear that or I can't do that mentality, where it's like if you say that you can't do something, then sure, you can't do it. But if you want to do it, you can do it. It's really just like, if you can get past yourself on that, it's gonna look great, I promise. For lack of a better way of saying it, I think you just need to get over it and do what you really want to do. I honestly think that the confidence and the attitude that you have is going to make the cut what it is on you, more than little things like your head or your face shape. Like if you obviously look and feel confident, that's gonna show, and that's gonna make your haircut look bomb regardless of your head or face shape. And also, for the record, I promise you, no one is looking that closely. It's really you that's judging yourself that harshly, and you don't need to. You really don't need to. If the head or the face shape thing is one of your main hesitations for going short, I would recommend that you kind of do everything possible to visualize yourself with a pixie cut or with short hair before you actually take the plunge. And so what I mean by that is, you know, put your hair in a super slick back bun and just look at yourself dead on, just like this. That's gonna help you see what it's like to not have hair falling in your face or covering aspects of your face or sitting on your shoulders. Like, just like visualize yourself without hair. Maybe you can use like an app or something to change your hairstyle and try on pixie cuts in an app of some sort. I don't really know any to recommend, but if not, something easy you can do is just literally slick your hair back and just get a good look at that beautiful face, these, you know, your neck, your shoulders, and visualize what it's going to look like to not have hair falling down and what that looks like on you. To get an idea of your head shape, what you can do is also do some sort of a slick back ponytail, and you can do a super high one if you're trying to get like the curvature of your head and see what that looks like. So if you do like a super high slick ponytail, you'll be able to kind of see that. Or you can do alternatively as well, like a super low one to kind of see the top curvature of your head. And that's a way to kind of see what your head shape looks like if you've just simply never seen it before, because it's always been covered by lots of hair. You could also put on like a stocking cap, like a wig cap or something like that, and that typically gives you a general idea of what your head shape is looking like. But again, please don't read too much into it. It's really not that important. I also have kind of like a list of things to consider and accept before you make this decision, because it's going to be part of your reality of having a pixie cut. And I didn't necessarily categorize as a pro or a con the objective reality of having a pixie cut. One, you're not going to be able to hide behind your hair anymore. And what I mean by that is if you're having like a no makeup day, or if you're having like a bad skin day, or if you're just the type of person who doesn't put effort into other parts of your appearance and you are more inclined to like throw some curls in your hair, some beach waves in your hair, you have long hair, and that's what makes you feel good, and it's almost like you're used to having your hair overcompensate for other parts of your appearance, you won't have that anymore. You will not have that resource anymore. You won't be able to hide behind your hair anymore. And to me, that ended up being like a total pro. I love my face and my features so much more in a pixie cut because they're really brought to the forefront and they can really shine. For some people that might feel a little bit strange. They're probably not used to seeing so much of their face so often. And it's just kind of like a new kind of vulnerability that you're going to have your face and your features just out all the time and kind of be the star. Like I said, I think it's a great thing, but I think it's something that you should consider. And just know, along with this, if you are someone who is like a girly girl, or just in general, you've associated your femininity with having long hair, that is also something you're gonna have to accept that's gonna go away. You're gonna have to find a way to still feel feminine and nurture and wear your femininity without having hair as the main driver of that or the main representation of that. A lot of people have hair closely associated with femininity or with their identity in general, and so it can kind of shake things up to have that suddenly taken out of the mix for them and their appearance. But again, I'm biased. I feel super feminine right now. I feel arguably more feminine when my hair is in a pixie. Along with the whole like femininity thing, you just need to accept the fact that a pixie cut is more of like a non-traditional look on a woman, even in modern times. And so even if you can feel super feminine without having long hair, certain people around you or in your life might project their idea of femininity on you and say weird things when you get your hair cut short, which I don't think you need to care about what they say or even stay associated with them, depending on the degree of how much crap they give you for it. But it is a non-traditional look. And so over the years of me wearing my hair short, I've been mistaken for being a lesbian, or I've been kind of like stereotyped as maybe a spicy or a, I don't even know, but just like more risky type of person. And it's not that at all. This is just the way I like to wear my hair, but some people like will categorize you as like a punk type of person, or so random. But something that comes to mind is I had my hair cut short. It was actually short and in like a platinum blonde pixie. So it did look really spicy or whatever. However you would think And I was working at Victoria's Secret in the mall. This guy come in and he, and when you work at Victoria's Secret, you just wear like all black, and I was completely modestly dressed and everything. I had my glasses on because I wear glasses, and I had my Pixie, and he said, oh, I'm looking for something like for my girlfriend, and her style is like yours. And after talking with him, we ended up in the like dominatrix like area where everything is, you know, like where there's like spikes and like whips type of vibe. He was assuming that that was like my style because I had a pixie cut. So that's what I mean. Like people associate it with more like edginess, I guess, which may or may not be true for you, but just like, you know, expect it. Long story short, you might be like misunderstood because it's a non-traditional look on a woman. Another huge concern that I get is like, Katricia, I really want to go short. I really want to do the pixie cut, but my partner or my boyfriend or my husband or whoever is not going to like it. They're going to hate it. And it's like, they say this as if it's so dire that it's going to like compromise their relationship to like get a pixie cut, or it's going to completely compromise their partner's like attraction to them. And on that, I also call BS. I don't think that that should be the reason that you don't do it. I don't think you should be dealing with someone who's going to take the change that negatively and project so much. Like, I know that it's totally unnecessary and it's rude and it's shallow and it's stupid, and you shouldn't be like living in a box for anybody. You should be authentic to yourself. And so when I get that type of concern, I kind of like laugh, but then I get sad because these people are serious, that they really have like husbands or boyfriends who are that weird and shallow, which to me is funny because I think a pixie cut is freaking adorable, really adorable on a woman. And I can speak from experience, it has never, not that I can tell, impacted anybody's attraction to me negatively whatsoever. If anything, it's given me a leg up. I don't know, but you won't scare away anybody who's meant for you. Okay. Moving right along. There is also so many ways that you can pixie. I'm gonna try to like leave room all around me to pop up like pictures, but you don't have to go this short. Pixie cut is kind of like a blanket term for anything that's like jaw length or shorter. There's so many different ways that you can do it. And so if you just really need to get your hair off your shoulders and you really want to go short, I guarantee you that there's going to be a cut that's really flattering on you and really suitable for you personally. So just explore all of your options before you go for it. There's a lot of versatility in this type of style and like life. So if you're feeling kind of closed-minded about how it's going to look on you, I just don't think you've seen enough like options. So make sure you take a look around. Keep in mind that the shorter the pixie that you choose and the less bangs that are involved, the more your face is gonna show, which is, again, show that pretty face. It is not a bad thing. Now we are at the portion of the video where I'm going to give you my personal pros and cons to going short. Here are my pros / hidden benefits list. No more edge tension. If you are somebody who likes to wear your hair back, or that's how you've been wearing your hair out of necessity or whatever, you probably have dealt with your edges being ripped out, thinning out, hurting, depending on how tight you're using it, or just in general seeing the effects of wearing your head back and having edge tension. You will not be dealing with any edge tension. There's zero tension on my edges. They are chilling. They are not being yanked or pulled or stressed. All the hair follicles on my head are relaxing. That is definitely a positive benefit in my opinion. So you might actually see your edges or your hairline fill in a little bit more. You might have just generally fuller and healthier hair when your hair is short because you're not having that edge tension, and also because you're not having any like ponytail breakage or damage anymore. So you're more than likely to see like softer, silkier hair. If you have curly hair, your curls are probably going to be really juicy and tighten up and be more shiny, and just in general, you're gonna have healthier hair when it's short because you don't have a bunch of old hair hanging off your head. Like your hair is just more vibrant, it's fresher, it's always newer hair, especially if you're maintaining your hair short. It's gonna be happier. Along with the lack of ponytails, you are not gonna get any more ponytail headaches. If you get ponytail and bun headaches, especially if you have like heavy or thick hair or you pull your hair back tightly, I get those a lot, even in the past year and a half when I was growing my hair out and I started to reintroduce buns and ponytails. I was starting to suffer from those headaches. I'm personally like prone to getting migraines and headaches, and I see a drastic positive change when my hair is in a pixie. It's just this like weightless feeling, and I don't get nearly as many headaches in general. You also in general are gonna spend a significantly lower amount of time doing your hair, which is so clutch because then you can spend more time in other areas of getting ready. So for me, that allows me to actually like do my makeup. Like I love my makeup today, but it took some time. And that was time that was like generally given back to me because I wasn't in the mirror for 45 minutes doing a wash and go that dried crazy and that I ended up hating. Generally speaking, you're gonna spend a lot less time doing your hair, and that's gonna give you a lot of time back to just do other things. The combination of these two things, like having your hair be so quick and having more time to like pour into like skincare, makeup, outfit, it just makes it easier and quicker to quickly get cleaned up and look like really put together, in my opinion. We're gonna spend less money on products because you don't need nearly as much, and therefore you're gonna go through them a lot more slowly. You won't be running back and forth to the store to restock on products constantly because you're using gobs and gobs of product. You simply will not need to do that, and you'll save money and product. If you are a weird like sensory person like me and you get claustrophobic easily, you won't deal with your hair sitting on your neck, itching, making you hot, all those little like things. If you know, you know. With your hair on your neck, especially in the summer or falling down your back, all that's gonna be gone. Look at this. I'm just so free right now. I'm so free. I can feel the breeze on my neck. I love it. I love it. I love not having anything weighing down my head. I love not having anything falling on my shoulders that I have to like flip out of my way, falling in my face, like for sensory reasons. It is so pleasant. It is so pleasant to not have hair. If you're somebody who gets hot or claustrophobic easily, you're gonna be in heaven with a pixie cut. You also have the ability to play with cuts and colors and styles more than you would with long hair. Just because it's so easy to cut off damage and not really have it affect your length, it's not as like dire or dramatic to protect every inch of your hair the way it is when you have long hair. You just have more room to experiment because your hair is healthier to begin with, and it just regenerates and replaces itself for the length that it is more quickly. So things like hair colors and different styles are more like low commitment for that reason, if that makes sense. I had to put on my benefits list that it's a confidence boost because I think that it will be a confidence boost. It's always, for me, I always feel my best with short hair. So I'm assuming that you're gonna get some of that benefit too at some point or another. Another kind of like summer category benefit is you can just go swimming. That's what I wrote. You can just go swimming, LOL. I can just hop in the pool and I am not worried about my hair being messed up for the entire day. Like, yeah, it might look a little like roughed up, but you in general have so much more freedom. The world is just like not revolving around maintaining your hair the same way when your hair is short. It's just so much more low maintenance and so much more freeing. You know, I had to give you a list of cons and keep the video completely transparent. But the biggest con at the forefront of my mind, and that I've really lived in and experienced the most, is it takes a long time to grow back. It's really gnarly to grow back. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. Those are the times when I feel the least confident in my hair and the most frustrated with my hair is growing it out. Just know if you're gonna do this, it's gonna take you like a good 1 to 2 years. Everybody's different. Your hair might grow super fast. Your hair might grow super slow. But I think in general, you should just mentally set an expectation that it's gonna take 2 years to get your hair back to your shoulders again, or longer. And during those 2 years, it might be kind of hell to see yourself in all those awkward stages and to figure out creative hairstyles and to just kind of deal with that. Like I said, I am the least happy with my hair during those seasons where I'm trying to grow it out. It is incredibly frustrating and it feels like it takes forever. But I will have a section of the video all about covering your pixie, growing it out, protective styles. So you do have options to get through the grow out stages. That I've tried so many different things. So I have a few things that I'm going to list for your convenience. So you don't have to suffer and figure it all out on your own. But I will say growing it out sucks. It's definitely the worst thing. So I would recommend, if you're gonna do this, be intentional about it, have honest expectations for yourself for that experience of growing it out and what you're really getting into. I wouldn't just cut your hair if you're not 100% sure that you wanna wear it like this for a while for my category 2 people, because you're gonna turn around and get frustrated very quickly. So for me, like this time with cutting my hair short, I've kind of just accepted that this is my vibe, this is my look, this is what I like. I'm gonna keep it short for a while because I do not want to deal with the frustration of growing it out for a while. Like that is something I don't want to deal with. I'd rather just maintain this style. Along with the no more ponytails, there's also a con to not being able to wear ponytails because you can't just throw your hair in a ponytail anymore. For your hair to look nice, it needs to be styled. So you need to either be maintaining a style or styling your hair. Now keep in mind, it's gonna take virtually no time at all to style your hair. So it's really not that big of a deal, but you do have that luxury taken away from you to just put your hair in a messy ponytail or a messy bun. Your hair is always out, therefore it has to always be acknowledged or styled. Lastly, there is this general limitation on hairstyles, right? No ponytails, no buns, no long beach waves, no extravagant formal or wedding styles. There is a general limitation on hairstyles that you're gonna have to accept. I personally don't mind it. I think that if you're creative, short hair can be worn lots of different ways, including really casual, really formal, really fun. One day I feel like having long hair to flip around. I don't have that option. This is what I'm working with, unless I do a wig or something, which we'll get into with protective styles later in the video. Okie dokie. We're gonna get into just like straight up questions that I've taken from people in my community. I asked people on my Instagram to go ahead and submit questions. I hope I got all of them, you guys. I'm so sorry if I missed you. And if I did miss you, I hope I answered your questions somewhere else in this video some way. But anything I don't answer in this next portion of the video, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to get to it. So I got this question from like several different people, but the verbiage was a little bit different. But in general, the question is, what are your tips on maintaining the cut and the shape? So to maintain your actual cut and your haircut shape, you're gonna have to have it acknowledged somehow with a regular haircut or like trimming and cleaning up your neck. So if you're going to a stylist, get a regular stylist that you're gonna be seeing maybe I would say like every 4 to 6 weeks to clean up your neck and to retouch your lengths, dust off your ends, that type of thing. And then if you're doing it yourself, just remind yourself, like I will need to do that for yourself every 4 to 6 weeks. I personally clean up my neck like every 2 to 3 weeks because it grows really fast and I do not like having that like 5 o'clock shadow on the back of my neck. Just kind of staying on top of it. But if you're gonna have a stylist, have a regular person so that they're familiar with your cut, with your head shape, and they can keep you right. How do you keep the definition for many days? So I think this kind of goes with maintenance, but more so the actual like style. For example, if I wanted to wear this style for my hair for several days at a time, it really depends on how you're gonna be protecting your hair at night. I am really lazy and I accept all the downsides of being lazy. Like I don't expect my styles to last very long when I sleep on them and I roll all around the place and I don't wrap my hair. But if you are wanting your styles to last, It is fairly simple. You can just go ahead and wrap your hair with like a satin wrap. And if you're using a wrap, you can probably get a good like 3 or so days, give or take, out of your style. You might have to do some minor touch-ups for like your edges, or if you're wearing it straight, like hit it with a flat iron in certain areas. Just depends on your hair. Everybody is different. But I would say if you're wrapping your hair like regularly at night, you can get at least 3 days, give or take, depending. Of wearing the same style before you have to completely restyle your hair again from scratch. But I also think that not only is this question dependent on like your hair texture and how your hair behaves individually, but I also think this question depends on if you're wearing it like in its natural curly texture, if your hair is curly, or if you're gonna be like a relaxed pixie wearer. Relaxed, straight, permed. Straight or relaxed pixies are typically going to be able to go longer, like between washes and like full styles, I would say. Another question that I have very commonly gotten at all different stages, even in my grow out stages, is like, what is the name of your haircut? What do I go ask for to get your haircut? And every time somebody has asked me, I feel like I can answer this generally enough that I keep my hair on top just like a little bit longer, and then the top is like the longest and it gradually gets shorter from there. If you watch my part 2 to this, where I actually do this haircut, you'll see exactly what I mean. But it like, the length is the longest at the top and it gradually gets shorter. And even when I grow it out, that's typically quite flattering until I need to like trim the bottom. The haircut doesn't have a name. We can trademark it as the Katricia Rose haircut if we want, but I'm not the first person to do it. I don't think it's completely unique to me, but the haircut like doesn't have a name. Just bring lots of pictures for your hairstylist. There's no like style name that I can particularly like call out for you. I'm sorry. Another question that I frequently get, and I think it's because I've gone back and forth between wearing my hair short and I've grown it out so many times, or I've just gone through that phase so many times, and that cycle of like cutting it short, now I'm growing it out again, now I'm cutting it short, now I'm growing it out again, is people typically ask me like, do I generally regret cutting my hair short and like getting into this vicious cycle? No, I do not ever regret cutting my hair short. I think it's my best look. I love it. It's my favorite look on myself. If anything, I think I regret or resent being convinced to grow my hair out over and over again, because typically when I'm doing that, it's because I've been overwhelmed with like outside influence. I do end up going back to short hair because I'm so frustrated with growing my hair out, but it's not only that, it's always mostly that I just want my hair short again. That's how I know that it's like, this is like a preference of mine that I actually really enjoy. And it's not that I'm just like giving up because I'm so frustrated with growing my hair out, which is part of it. It is a big motivator to go back short, but it's because I actually do want my hair short again. And I don't see the reason for continuing to struggle with growing my hair out if I know how I like to see my hair. Another question that I frequently get is, who cuts my hair? And how do I find a good stylist to cut my hair? So I always cut my hair myself. Typically, my sister is a licensed cosmetologist. She's kind of like a safe person to go to when I want to do something that's a bit more risky, or if I want to do like a fade or something that has like barbery skills, because she cuts her boys and her husband's hair. I will go to her, but generally speaking, to just like maintain my hair, even color my hair, I do that all myself. I personally trust myself more than I trust a stranger at a salon. I've actually gotten some horrendous pixie cut maintenance and cuts in general from salons where the person swore up and down that they knew what they were doing. And I've just been burned, and I've had better experiences doing it myself. Hope that that doesn't scare you. I think like anything else, you really need to research your stylist and make sure that they've worked on your hair type and your hair texture, and that they've done several pixie cuts. They know their way around a pixie cut. They've done the type of pixie cut you're looking for, and that they're generally like experienced to work with you. I wouldn't take a chance on someone who's like, oh, well, this is my first time with your hair texture, or this is my first time giving a woman a pixie cut, or someone who does men's hair, but because it's short hair, they can cut your hair short. Like, I would find somebody where you're a really good fit for them. You're nothing new or particularly challenging to them. And I think that that would be your best bet. Along with the barber kind of way, nothing against barbers, but they're typically used to cutting men's hair, and men's hair there's a certain style to it and it's more masculine. And so I would be wary of going to a barber for a pixie cut as a woman, especially if you want it to come out flattering and feminine, depending on the cut you want. Because if you want a fade and you want the front lined up, but if you want like a feminine pixie, be very wary of going to a barber. Again, nothing against barbers. I think it's possible to have an awesome cut with one, but you just really need to communicate so that they're not like on autopilot, I guess is what I'm trying to say. My son is done waiting for me to be done with my video, and he's being loud. So if you can hear him in the distance, I apologize. Also, if you've heard my dog, I apologize, but I'm trying my best. We are now in the portion of the video all about protective styles / covering / growing out your pixie. So you're tired of your pixie, you're frustrated, you're at an awkward length, you need to cover it, you need to change it, you need to do something else. Maybe you're bored with your pixie and for some reason, you just need a break from it. Here are the things that you can do or try. So you can do wigs. Wigs are a bit tricky, especially like lace front wigs. For people who aren't about that life to like learn how to like melt a lace front down and wear it really nicely and naturally, I always recommend wigs that come with bangs, because then you eliminate that whole like hairline dilemma with wigs. So a wig, either a lace front if you're willing to learn, or if you're already familiar with your way around a lace front wig, or you can do a wig with bangs, and just that's the type of wig you can just like throw on. I will say that wigs are a lot more easy to wear and they're a lot more natural looking when you have a pixie cut, because you don't have like a bunch of hair stuffed up underneath them. So they lay more like flush to your scalp and they fall more naturally. And they're just easier to put on because, again, you don't have to like braid down a bunch of hair under it. You can just I can just put some gel in my hair and then my hair is perfectly good to put a wig cap on and move on with the installation. Another option you have, of course, are hats. In the winter or the fall, you can go get yourself some really cute knit beanies. In the spring and summer, you can do like a bucket hat or a sun hat, or even like a baseball cap, depending on your style. Those all look really nice and will cover up a bad hair day or a weird phase. Headbands also offer a lot of coverage if you have a pixie cut. So if I was having a lazy hair day, I can wear like a thick headband, and that will really help. It will really help. So don't take headbands off the table. I would recommend getting some like nice like thick ones, or even some cute little decorative ones just for fun. But as far as covering up your hair, you can get some like thick knit ones or just some soft cotton ones, but headbands will help you a lot if you're going through some weird hair stages. Also, you can try wrapping your hair. It's not everybody's style preference, but you can try wrapping your hair in like those type of turban wraps or those hair wraps. I've done those a lot before too. Try to pop up some pictures because I've done that a lot. And then we have just like protective hair extension type of styles. So there's like braids. There's all different types of braids you can do. You can do singles braids, you can do crochet braids, you can do feed-in braids. Keep in mind that you might need to grow out your hair for a hot little minute before you're able to get braids, because you typically need a few inches of hair before they can grip it. Braids become like something you unlock with a little patience. I do want you to be mindful of, if you are growing out your hair and your intention is to grow out really healthy, thick, full hair, braids, depending on who braids your hair and how they do it, braids can cause a lot of tension, breakage, and fallout. It can counter your goal of growing healthy hair to just like constantly keep your hair in braids. Like I said, depending on how your hair tolerates braids. So keep that in mind. Extensions are another option. Extensions, you typically need even more hair that's grown out because it has to blend with your natural hair. I can't speak a ton to extensions, whether like clip in, tape in, microlink, like whatever. I've never had them before, but they do need to blend kind of somewhat seamlessly with your hair. So you need more hair in general to have that look seamless, if that makes sense. Like it would look really awkward if I just like clipped in some long hair right here. It wouldn't really blend. So that becomes an option for you once you've been growing out your hair for a little while, or if you have a much longer pixie cut that you're starting from. Something that just randomly came to mind that I want to say that I'm actually dealing with right now. I cut my hair this way about like 3 days ago, and my hair is still learning how to lay down. So keep in mind that it might take a few days for your hair to adjust to being worn short and laying down. You might discover some hidden like cowlicks in your hair or weird places where your hair doesn't want to lay down. I had to use a lot of gel because I have hair all over my head that isn't used to laying this sleekly at the root. And so your hair might feel like it's kind of like sticking out or looking awkward for a few days. Just keep with it, keep styling it repeatedly the way that you want to wear it, and you'll eventually like train that hair to lay the right direction. But it's like a temporary thing. You can also wrap your hair to boost the effectivity of like laying it down the right direction. That's something that just comes with it for the first few days or week or so of cutting your hair. It's just a little bit of an adjustment. Okay, you guys, I'm sorry if this video was kind of like all over the place or if I was difficult to understand. Once again, you can give me your questions in the comments if anything was unclear or if anything was missed. But that is part 1 of my pixie cut question and answer video. I hope it was helpful to you. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe while you're here, and I hope I will see you in part 2 where I will show you how I cut and colored this pixie cut myself, and in that video I have particular tips around doing that. And I will see you in my next video.